Thomas Jefferson once said, information is the currency of democracy. So today, this morning, we're here to make some money. Some information from our mayor, an opportunity to network, and to gain information from a variety of sources.
It's so funny, there's a core group of people that are the spiritual, financial, and philanthropic angels of the San Fernando Valley. All of the people who are so involved in so many nonprofits, I see and recognize you, and I'm honored to be with you today. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Al Mooney.
'Cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA.
Truly a pleasure to be with you here this afternoon. We were talking about the mayor, and I'd asked what he'd like me to include with the introduction, and he said brevity. It's wonderful to have him here, and I think we owe him a debt of gratitude for coming out and being with us. Thank you all.
Thank you, Bert and Jane. Thank you so much, Bert and Jane. Let's give them a round of applause and thank them again for all that they do and who they are. We have been so blessed to have such incredible leadership here in the San Fernando Valley, and for so many years on the police commission, and just as a business leader, the entire Bachman family has served this city so well. And I'm proud to say, Jane, that beautiful wife of mine, Amy, now drives a beautiful Ford from Galpin Ford. So there's your plug for the day. There's a lot of good cars out there, but we appreciate you driving a Galpin. How's that? This is one of my favorite events, and a very good afternoon, everybody. I love coming here. I love coming back to the valley that I was born and raised in, a place that still is a snapshot of small-town America and one of the greatest cities anywhere on the face of the earth. And I especially want to thank Richard and everybody from the United Chambers, because this is a true confederation of, Canoga Park and North Hollywood and Sherman Oaks and Pacoima and all points in between from north, south, east, west, who come together to say, we love our neighborhood, but more than that, we love our city. And we love the San Fernando Valley, which for so long has been that place where we've poured our dreams into it. Growing up here on Woodley Avenue, which bisects the San Fernando Valley, I had the opportunity to walk on Ventura Boulevard, take the RTD bus to school, and stop at the Sherman Oaks Galleria as a young man, and maybe spend a couple quarters in the arcade, watch movies come out that were, Valley Girl and Fast Times at Ridgemont High. None of those are biographical of my experience, by the way. But to see that this was a place that it didn't matter where you came from in the world. The first time you came to the San Fernando Valley, you knew it because you had seen it. You had felt it. You had watched it. You had been a part of it. And when people asked me what was it like growing up in the Valley, I said it was kind of like being in the most anonymous place in the world and the center of the universe simultaneously. A place where we don't care where you came from or what your background is. We only care where you want to go to. And a place where Hollywood and aerospace and manufacturing and at the time car making and breweries and everything in between all intersected. And it informs who I am as mayor and who I am as a person. And so when I come back now after 2 years of being your mayor, the 42nd mayor of this town, when I think about, those times when growing up here, I never would have imagined I'd be before you. A lot of people think I grew up in politics. My dad was just an anonymous prosecutor, deputy DA, until the year I graduated from college is when he actually ran for DA. So for my entire childhood, I was just a, anonymous valley boy who used to spend weekends with my grandparents in Van Nuys. And over menudo, I would kind of listen to the stories of what brought them here. I remember once my grandfather, a couple of you might have heard this story, but I'll tell it again. My grandfather, Salvador, who was a migrant from Mexico, he came here when he was 1 year old, fleeing the Mexican Revolution with his mother, and I were watching television. And there was this very distinguished man on TV. He was making a big speech, and my grandfather said, "Eric, I know that man. He's the mayor of the city of Los Angeles, Tom Bradley." And I was so impressed that my grandfather, this kind of just simple barber who was a World War II veteran, who had never graduated from the 8th grade, knew the mayor of Los Angeles. And he'd had a little bit of a troubled youth, but he kind of met my grandmother and turned things around. And I said, "How do you know him, Grandpa?" And he said, "Well, when I was younger and he was younger, he arrested me." So I don't know if I have to thank my predecessor's predecessor for steering him straight, but that his grandson could be the mayor in this town speaks volumes about what opportunity means in Los Angeles. It is who we are. You know, a few of you were with me at VICA on Friday, which I talked about my unvarnished optimism about this place. And so forgive me if I restate some of what I said. Like then, I'll try to not read any of this off of any prepared remarks, but just from my heart and from my head. Because at this moment, I think it bears repeating what a great town this is and what great direction we are headed, which is not at all to dismiss the challenges that we have of traffic, of poverty, of homelessness, of our housing crisis, and I'll address those as well. But when I look out at the vista of Los Angeles today, I'm reminded of what it felt like when I was a boy in the 1980s, when LA kind of arrived on the scene as a truly global city, when we brought the Olympics here, when we invested and opened a subway for the first time, and we started to realize what was possible, and that was a decade of prosperity. And I see very much this decade as one of those possibilities as well. Don't take the mayor's word for it. Let's just look straight at the numbers. In the last 2 years since I've been mayor, we've been able to add 86,000 jobs to our local economy, the fastest pace in over a decade. We've been able to see unemployment go down by more than 3 points. And as impressive as those employment numbers are, and you all will appreciate this as heads of chambers of commerce and members, we've seen 50,000 new businesses register with the city of LA in that time. This is the most entrepreneurial city, by the way, in the nation. 1 out of every 172 of us is a business owner, like my grandfather, the barber, like my other grandfather, who was a tailor. It is the engine of opportunity, and it still is what drives our economy. Land use investment is at a record high, $7 billion this year, already entitled and permitted and underway, a brand new record for the city of Los Angeles. You can see it here with Westfield. You can see it in North Hollywood. You can see it in cranes around the city. And you can see it in that infill development that's taking old lots and bringing badly needed housing to our areas. You can see people are betting with their own money on the promise of LA. I couldn't say this 2 years ago, but if I was CEO of a company and under the city charter, many of you know, and I've talked in years past about how I'm trying to run this city like a company, or at least bring the best of private sector accountability to government. Doing things like reducing wait times, which used to be as much as 40 minutes with the Department of Water and Power, to consistently, and this is our busiest time of year because it's new college school year and stuff, to under 2 minutes, a 95% reduction, using kind of common sense to run things better. But if I was a CEO, you'd ask me, how's your product selling? How's your service doing? Well, that product is Los Angeles. And for the first time, I can say that more people live here, more people work here, more people visit here, and more people choose to study here than ever in our city's history. So while other cities are contracting their population, Chicago's lost population in the last decade. We've seen cities like Detroit or Pittsburgh cut in half. People are still coming here. People are still living here. People are free to travel anywhere in the world. We had 42 million visitors come here, and LAX is now the busiest destination airport in the world. So LA is very strong. We are seeing that this is a city that people believe in, not only because we have an unparalleled workforce, not only because it's the most diverse collection of human beings in the world. And think about that for a moment. 20 years ago, after the LA riots, people wondered if our diversity would rip us apart. Remember those Time magazine covers, whether it's an earthquake or a riot, somehow we're always going to hell. But now, I travel, and for instance, I was in Seoul, South Korea, and the mayor there, Mayor Park, said, how do we get to be more like Los Angeles? We realize we can't compete globally if we don't have a more diverse population like you have. In 20 years, we've turned that, what was seen as a weakness, into one of our greatest strengths. And at City Hall, we've tried to lead a different way. My colleagues and I, and we've had extraordinary representatives here. Councilmember Bob Blumenfield, Councilmember Mitch Englander, who I walked door to door in Northridge just this weekend, Councilmembers Martinez and Fuentes, Councilmember Krikorian, our newest Councilmember David Rue, and also Paul Koretz, all of whom collectively represent this valley. To say that City Hall can't just expect that our sunshine will bring people here. We have to be intentional, we have to have a plan, and we have to push forward to get the jobs that we need. So let me tell you how we're doing that. Because as I stated on Friday, there was a momentary, it was reported that the Los Angeles City didn't have a jobs plan. And I say, you never want to repeat a criticism, but that's one that I wanted to repeat because I couldn't more strenuously disagree. This has been the most focused council and mayor on a job plan that I've ever seen in my lifetime in Los Angeles, and I want to tell you what we're doing. First, we're starting with key industries that drive our economy. For too long, City Hall kind of ignored those main industries as they began to bleed away from Los Angeles. Think about the film industry. As Louisiana and New York and North Carolina and New Mexico began to take those great middle-class jobs away from us, subsidizing them, we sat flat-footed. So my number one priority my first year was to go up to Sacramento, to raise the temperature on this, to inspire our great representatives. Raul Bocanegra is here. He was one of the key ones on that with Mike Gatto and others. And to put forward to the governor's desk an expansion of our California film tax credit, which was working well, it was just too small. And we got $330 million each year for 5 years. And let me report to you the first year how we're doing. In the first year, $1.07 billion of film production has come back to California, mostly here in Los Angeles that otherwise wouldn't be here. A 545% increase in scripted television, the best year since 2010. Those jobs are coming home. Second, we focused on aerospace, long neglected but a key part of the San Fernando Valley's heritage and present. When I was campaigning in North Hollywood in an aerospace factory, I was talking to somebody who was saying, you know, we're competing and winning globally. Remember when the earthquake hit Japan? He said, this was a manufacturer of airplane parts, and he said that the Japanese manufacturers were all taken offline because of the nuclear power plant that was damaged. And he said, so we got all these new customers, and we figured after a year or two, once the Japan plants got back up online, we'd lose those customers. He said, guess what? The Japanese customers stayed with us because we have a better product and we're cheaper. When people give up on manufacturing in America, they're not looking at the new manufacturing that we have, but it won't happen automatically. So many of you know one of the things I've tried to do is lead regionally, to bring together all the mayors of LA County. There's 88 of us, I'm just one of them. I may be the mayor of the biggest city, but there's Calabasas, there's San Fernando, there's Burbank, there's Glendale, just here in the San Fernando Valley. We just convened my quarterly meeting up in Santa Clarita last week because all these things cross our borders, and aerospace is one of them. So I brought together Ventura County, Los Angeles County, Orange County, and San Diego County to apply to the Obama administration to get an advanced manufacturing partnership designation, which means a flood of federal dollars can come to help us keep up with changes in aerospace and manufacturing. We got it. To date, over $58 million has come to local companies to help them change their supply chain, their manufacturing chain, and to give skills to folks, just like when we fought to keep the North Valley Occupational Center alive for airline mechanics right here in the San Fernando Valley. And somebody said the other day, it's the first time, I won't say the real word he said, that City Hall has given a hoot about us in aerospace. So focusing on those legacy industries has been the first part. Second, we have to look at the emerging industries that are with us. Industries, for instance, like green jobs. We have an incubator that we funded through the Department of Water and Power and others that is the #1 green jobs incubator in the country, and we are now the green jobs capital. What are those sorts of jobs? Jobs like right here adjacent to Glendale and Atwater Village, Solar City, which installs solar panels. We're the most solar city in America right now. Those are good, lower-skilled jobs that pay high. Those middle-class jobs that we need to sustain a prosperous economy. We're doing the same thing by looking at new digital technology. Did you know that Los Angeles now has more digital technology jobs overall, than any other county in America? More than Santa Clara County, which is the heart of Silicon Valley. More than New York, more than Boston. We are #1. And it reflects our great universities. It reflects that we have 4 amazing universities right here in Los Angeles. There's actually a lot more, but 4 of them include CSUN right here, Caltech. Yeah, let's pause CSUN, where I was on Saturday, where they hosted us. Caltech, UCLA, and USC, all of which, and congratulations to CSUN on their upcoming Eddie Award, which has been given to those other 3 universities. They are only the 4th one to ever get that from the LA EDC, which is a reflection of how amazing CSUN has been for creating jobs. So we are making sure that digital technology is now landing here. It's why Snapchat is in Los Angeles. It's why you look at Silicon Beach out on the west side of Los Angeles. It's here in North Hollywood. It's throughout our city. Excuse me. And the reason why this is so important is these are, again, our great middle-class jobs. And if you don't believe it, go out and talk to a young person about where they want to work tomorrow. They want to work for one of those companies, and we are landing them right here as well. So legacy industries, new industries, and then some that will be tomorrow's industries. Biotech must land here in Los Angeles, but it's already here. Did you know that we have as many biotech jobs as San Diego? as many biotech jobs as the Bay Area? You'd never know it reading the paper. But we are now working with a number of our academic institutions to make sure that biotech parks land here. And we should start thinking about one right here in the San Fernando Valley, too. Maybe it's something CSUN could start looking at. We're looking at Harbor Gateway with UCLA, USC at the county hospital. We have all of the expertise. We have the great healthcare companies that are here. And these are the jobs that we're focused on growing for tomorrow. So the first thing is focusing on key sectors. That's why we're seeing that growth happen. Second, though, is key reforms. I often said that City Hall was a place where jobs went to die. City Hall was a place where you couldn't find us when you needed us, and we were in the way when you didn't want us to be there. But we're changing that. Already in 2 years, I'll give you a couple examples. One is our gross receipts tax. It's a job killer. And I've been here before you saying I would do something about it. I'm proud to say that in this last budget, we got 3 years of reductions, 16% off the top of the top category, and I'm not going to rest until we kill that tax off. Because we know folks go just across our borders, and when we cut a gross receipts tax that punishes you, because you could actually lose money on your net receipts, but we still ask for our take on it. As the president of the Board of Public Works, Kevin James, my dear friend, when we were campaigning for mayor, said there's only 2 entities that do that, the mafia and the city of Los Angeles, take their cut off the top. So we've seen a reduction in those business taxes. Second, we're looking at our red tape. If you haven't been to, for any of you who do land use, if you haven't been to Van Nuys counter recently of the Department of Building and Safety, you need to, because it's like stepping into a Four Seasons. Literally 2 concierge desks on both sides with a little hello, how can I help you? Where folks will walk you through what used to be good luck throwing you in the deep end of a swimming pool by yourself. And do you know, too, that you can take most medium-level projects and actually get your permit the same day? Instead of coming and waiting for 3 months, in 3 hours, we kind of like the lens crafters of permits. You can come and while you wait, leave with your permit in hand. We've digitized 100% of our building records, so you don't have to go downtown anymore or to Van Nuys to find them. We've made it easier so if you're doing solar paneling, you don't have to do that through a discretionary action. It's now by right. We're cutting that red tape that makes a difference in our lives. In small ways that are about the quality of our life, like if you're doing a residential permit, did anybody ever done that where you have to wait during the week for us to come to you? Well, guess what? There's now Saturday appointments. You don't have to take time off of work. You don't have to lose any pay. We'll come to you, and we paid for that with existing dollars, no extra dollars, no overtime, because we have to serve the customers first. So key sectors and key reforms are the first 2 ways, making things business friendly and focusing on where job growth is. Third, key infrastructure. This is where government really can make a difference. I think all of us were so proud to grow up in Los Angeles where our infrastructure was second to none. When the Tom Bradley terminal opened up at LAX, we were like, this is the best terminal anywhere in the world. When we saw our freeways get built, they were masterful engineering feats. We had up-to-date water that we brought from far away to be able to come here, but now it's pipes breaking, it's poles falling down, it's potholes when we drive, it's an airport that hadn't been updated since then in 1984. It's a port of Los Angeles that has not been invested in, but we're changing that. $1 million a day in the port of Los Angeles, which so many companies here depend on, 43% of the goods that come into America, and we're breaking all records in the past few months offloading cargo at the port of LA. Second, oh, by the way, and we've reduced our emissions, the pollution, by as much as 97% at the port while doing that. Second, LAX. Well, 2 things with LAX. One is we opened up a gleaming new, brand new international terminal. If you haven't flown out of it, it is, again, one of the finest ones in the world. But now I've authorized redoing all the remaining legacy terminals from 1 to 8 and building a new one out towards the ocean. And finally bringing public transportation to LAX some 30 years after we first talked about it. We will finally have, with the Crenshaw LAX line and a people mover, an ability to get there with public transportation. And as we look at potentially going to the voters next year to continue our public transportation work, which I'll get to, imagine the East Valley line, which will be coming as part of Measure R, that goes north to south, going through a tunnel in the Sepulveda Pass and all the way down to LAX. Now, wouldn't that be a great way to get to the airport from here in the San Fernando Valley? Speaking of public transit, we have 5 lines underway and a 6th coming right here in the valley as well. You'll be able to get to the ocean for the first time since the red car closed down some 60 years ago, next year with the Expo line. I mentioned Crenshaw, Wilshire Subway. We're looking at ways we can speed up the Orange Line, whether it's rail or just making the buses go quicker, and connecting it potentially with Burbank Airport. That would be a great thing for the San Fernando Valley as well. We are investing now more in public transportation than any city in America, In fact, it is the largest public works program in America at the local level. So infrastructure means jobs. And last year, we paved more streets than the city of LA ever had, something that's near and dear to my Back to Basics agenda. 2,400 miles, and I hope you felt some of the smooth areas. I know we still feel the bumps, but I hope you felt the smooth streets. And we're going to continue pushing that forward. And if we do go back to the voters next year for a half-cent sales tax, which we've been paying to the state, by the way, so my pitch is to replace that, what's gone into that morass up there, and instead spend it here locally on things that will improve our lives, I will make sure that a fair share of that goes to repairing our roads, not just building public transit. We have to make sure we have those roads so our Galpin Fords can ride smoothly. We also are making sure that our DWP infrastructure is finally addressed. You've seen it, and I'll make a very honest case to you that I do believe that our rates do need to keep up with the times and increase. But I've held that off for 2 years because DWP reform, to me, had to come first. We had to bring those wait times down. We had to put the light on the Joint Training and Joint Safety Institutes. We had to get a fair contract for our workers, but one that was fair for our ratepayers as well. And we've achieved those three. Much more work to do. But now we have to make sure we don't have burst pipes everywhere, that we don't have lines that are being poles that are being held up by the lines. I see some water, excuse me. And making sure that true DWP reform follows. And I'll give you a little snapshot of what that looks like to me. Today, it takes a year for our great general manager of DWP, Marcy Edwards, to hire somebody, a year. It takes her sometimes over a year just to get a simple computer contract through the process that we've set up. I want to make DWP lean and mean, because you know who pays for that? We do. And instead of us nickel and diming every decision, let's let that entity run like an investor-owned utility. I'm not suggesting it become private. I'm glad that we own it, that we don't have to pay taxes on it, and that we have the lowest rates of any utility in the region. But let's unleash the power of management there, instead of overseeing with so many layers of bureaucracy that we wind up paying for that. And let's replace those pipes and those poles that we need to make sure that we can bring things here for a generation. So key sectors, key reforms at City Hall, key infrastructure. Then finally, we're focusing on two other things. Key skills. How many of you can't find the skilled workers that you need for your workplace? When I talk to employers all the time, they're saying, you know, the guy in North Hollywood that I mentioned, aerospace, he said, I can't get the workers I need. We'll always be able to import great people from out of state, sometimes even out of the country, to come to LA. Sunshine, a job waiting, et cetera. But if we can actually grow them up here, good on us. That's exactly what we need to be doing. So I have changed the way we do our jobs and our skills training here in Los Angeles. We used to have a lot of job centers that sometimes created more jobs for the job centers than from the job centers. And so we've gone out to bid, found the best people, and we used to only help 4,500 people. 4,500 people a year in a town of 4 million with job help. This year it'll be 45,000. And the jobsla.org portal right now lists literally today more than 1 million jobs available in the state of California for people, if they go there to find that. But we're not just sitting back and saying good luck. We also want to train people for the key industries where there will be jobs available, like healthcare, like green jobs, like banking, like those places where we're seeing teaching. A lot of people set to retire or big job growth. And we're training people now for those key skills. We're also focusing on youth. I don't know how many of you ever participated in the summer jobs program as a young person, but that's transformative. And here in the Valley, we need to, especially where we see high pockets of unemployment, like the Northeast San Fernando Valley or pockets of the West Valley here, parts of North Hollywood. Invest in young people. Every young person who wants to work in the summertime, it is my dream to be able to give them a job after the 10th, 11th, and 12th grade, where they learn responsibility, financial literacy, and have a future because they're building a resume. And I'm proud to report to you today that after 2 years, we had 5,000 jobs available to our young people. We are now at 12,000 this past summer. And for all of you who have helped with that, thank you. And anybody who wants a young person this coming summer, please come talk to us, because Hire LA Youth is the initiative. We want to make sure that every young person isn't limited by his or her own zip code, but by the possibilities of this city instead. We've also focused as well on key other sectors for skills. Veterans, which is very near and dear to me. I set a goal with something called 10,000 Strong of hiring 10,000 veterans here. As a veteran myself, as people who I knew were coming back and looking for work and sometimes even ending up on our street, part of our homeless crisis has been veterans, I want to make sure that we hired. And great companies like Time Warner and Universal and others right here in the San Fernando Valley have stepped up and done just that. Less than a year and a half into this effort, we're more than halfway to the goal, over 5,000 jobs already there. Again, if you want to help hiring a vet, please let us know. We can't leave them behind as well. So whether it's youth, whether it's vets, or now also we have a new office of reentry for people coming out of the criminal justice system to get jobs. Because shame on us, if we don't provide them a different pathway, they will recommit and be back in prison again at a very high expense to all of us. So for the first time since Tom Bradley, I have a director for an office of reentry in the mayor's office to focus on that key sector as well. So key skills for key folks who need those good jobs. And then finally, we've been trying to be the best promoters of business that we can at City Hall. We've moved so many new businesses into the city of Los Angeles, and we've highlighted and given a hand to those that are growing. Companies like Tigum. How many people have heard of Tigum here? Anybody? All right. Tigum is an amazing company right here in the San Fernando Valley. In Northridge, it was founded by some entertainment industry professionals. If you've ever ridden at the Americana or at the Grove, the trolley, they made it. But they decided to keep going further, and instead of just making those trolleys, they started to innovate on the propulsion systems. So now they have a patented fuel cell propulsion system that will allow somebody to have a streetcar or a trolley operating for 18 hours, and it just charges 6 hours at night. You don't need any electrical lines or anything. And now they came to us because they wanted to compete for international contracts right out of here. It's manufacturing, it's Hollywood, it is green jobs, and they put themselves up against the big boys, companies like Siemens and Bombardier that are the big builders of people movers and other systems around the world. They just won contracts in Aruba, in Qatar, in the United Arab Emirates, and we helped guarantee them through the Export-Import Bank the ability to be able to do that. You see, when we step up from City Hall and lend a hand, the sky's the limit. We've been linking companies in the Valley and throughout Los Angeles with international possibilities all over the world. Whether it was Universal, who asked my help to get an audience with the President of Mexico. So when I went on our trade mission down there, I sat with the President of Mexico and said, don't let deregulation of your telecoms hurt our companies. And he made a change in the law that helped Universal be able to keep its advertising revenue in Mexico. I've helped companies that aren't even in the city of LA, whether it's folks like Parsons, who was bidding for the Mexico City airport. They're in Pasadena, but guess what? Folks in my city work there, and vice versa, folks in Pasadena work in my city. That's what the regional and international approach is all about. We also are promoting Made in LA. And there's a great company here, Orly, which is a manufacturer some of you ladies may know, and maybe even some of you men. They're great nail polish makers right here in Van Nuys. And they were able to promote Made in LA as their brand internationally. They're in almost every country in the world, in the finest spas in Russia, in China, in the Middle East, South America. And that is us. So we promote them and the LA brand because we know that if just 1% of LA businesses were to find international business, we double the number of businesses that do business outside our country. In other words, only 1% of all of you right now do any business outside of our country. And we can make those connections for you, open those doors with you, and it's a strong part of what we're doing. So there's a lot more I could talk about, but I want you to hear that this city is moving forward. A great city is one that addresses its great challenges, whether it's our commitment to ending homelessness among veterans and then making a huge dent, if not eliminating it, among non-veteran homeless, whether it's our traffic that is still the worst in the nation, but we're building our way out of, and finally finding ways to be able to bring public transportation and other options that even if you never ride it, take somebody's car off the road for you, whether it's the work that we have to do to make sure that the prosperity that many of us are now feeling again is felt in all neighborhoods. Los Angeles steps up to its challenges. But we also reach for the stars. It's who we are. It's the reason that I promoted going for the Olympics one more time in 2024 and bringing some of those events right here to the San Fernando Valley, which didn't happen in 1984. Because great cities, whether it's doing the Oscars or whether it's bringing the Olympics, whether it's building a great airport, or whether it's making sure that all of us in the communities where we live and where we work have an opportunity, they reach for the stars, and we reach for the stars. In conclusion, I want to say this to the United Chamber. Every single day that I stand before you, I get more and more optimistic about our future. Because I see it in the eyes of the investors that are coming here, of the entrepreneurs who are hiring here. You know the best feeling in the world. The best feeling in the world is giving somebody a job. being able to expand to see that something you did with your own creativity and your own hands is what's left behind. At the end of our days, I think there's two things we'll remember: who we knew and what we did. I've been honored to know you. I hope you feel that you've been honored to know each other, because I wouldn't trade this city, the San Fernando Valley, or this room for any other room in the world. And what we do together, what we will look back and say we have collectively done, is something that we can all be proud of. We can say we live in a great city, we live in a Los Angeles, a prosperous LA, where everybody has an opportunity, where we are marching towards the future together. And I thank you for all your support in getting that work done. Thank you so much.